Hello everyone. In this video, I will be explaining a new chapter, Control and Coordination. In this, I will be explaining the animal nervous system and reflex action. In last chapter, we had discussed about the maintenance and function in living organisms. If we see something moving, it is considered as alive. So this notion of movement is in fact the result of growth. As in plants, a seed germinates and grows. So why do we associate such visible movements with life? A possible answer is that we think the movement as a response to change in environment of an organism. For example, when a bright light is focused on our eyes or when we touch a hot object, we detect the change and respond to it with movement in order to protect ourselves. So this protection is done by our nervous system, the sensory organs which are situated in all parts of our body. In left side, you can see a pictorial representation of autonomous nervous system, whereas in the right side, you can see the real nervous system of a human being from the spinal cord. So let us know in detail about animal nervous system and the reflex action, which actually protect human beings from various disasters. Let us know about our nervous system. The nervous system is the master controlling and communicating system of the body. The nervous system controls and coordinates all essential function of human body. Chemical coordination. It is the type of coordination present between cells or different organs within the body of multicellular organisms. In this kind of coordination, a group of cells releases specific chemicals which regulates all the activities of the cell of a body. In animals, nervous system and hormonal system plays an important role in control and coordination. In plants, control and coordination is done by chemical substances called plant hormones or phytohormones. Coordination in animals. In animals, control and coordination is done by nervous system and endocrine system. In nervous system, the nervous system is an organ system containing network of specialized cells called neurons. There are two types of nervous system. First one is central nervous system, in short CNS. It includes brain and spinal cord. The next one is peripheral nervous system, in short PNS. It includes somatic nervous system and it is known as voluntary nervous system and associated with voluntary control of body movements via skeletal muscles. Let us know more about nervous system. The nervous system is very important in helping to maintain the homeostasis. So homeostasis is nothing but balance of the human body. A series of sensory receptors work with the nervous system to provide information about the changes in both internal and external environments. The human nervous system is a complex of interconnected system in which larger systems are comprised of smaller subsystems, each of which have specific structures with specific functions. Neurons. The nervous system consists of vast number of cells called neurons and the functional unit of the nervous system. So these neurons are the functional unit of the entire nervous system. Each neuron consists of a cell body, also called as soma, axon and dendrites. Neurons are commonly referred to as nerve cells, bundles of axons bound together and are called nerves. So this is the pictorial representation of our nerve cell. So it has a cell body, the cell's life support center, next dendrites. So actually the dendrites receives messages from other cell to the cell body. The cell body is the life support center. Next, the message is transferred to the axon, passes messages away from the cell body to other neurons, muscles and glands. Next to neural impulses, that is neural impulses is the electrical signal traveling down the axon. Next, myelin sheath covers the axon of some neurons and helps feed the neural impulses. Next, terminal branches of the axon form a junction of the other cells. So this is a detailed explanation of the nerve cell. Let us know more about neurons. First is cell body. So the cell body is the main processing center of the cell. Next comes dendrites. These are the thin branching extensions of the cell body that conduct nerve impulses towards the cell body. Next comes the axon. It's a single branch in most neurons which conducts nerve impulses away from the cell body. Myelin sheath and neural lemma are the coverings of this axon. Neurons, here impulse transmission takes place by terminal end fibers. So these terminal end fibers are located at the ends of the axon and they transmit impulses leaving the neuron across a synapse to next neuron. So by that way the information will be transferred from one neuron to another by a synapse. Functional types of neurons. Here you can notice the picture. The nervous system sorts and interprets incoming information before directing a response. If someone taps you from back, first is receptors in the skin sense a tap or other stimulus, like our skin receptors will sense that. Next, sensory neurons transmit the touch message. So as soon as someone touches us from the back, the sensory neurons on our skin transmit the touch message. Next, the message is interpreted. A response is sent to the motor neuron. So this is the third information. So this is a third step which happens. Next, the motor neurons transmit a response message to the shoulder muscle. So after that, the neck muscle are activated, causing the head to turn. Functions of the nervous system. First, sensory input. Sensory input is gathering information. As we said, as soon as someone taps you, the sensory organs or the sense organs will gather the information. So to monitor the changes occurring inside and outside the body, changes, that is also called as stimuli. Next is integration. To process and interpret sensory input and decide if action is needed. Next is a motor output. A response to integrated stimuli. Whatever changes happen, a response will be given to that. Next, the response activates the muscles or glands. Whatever response we have to give, either to turn back or make some action with our shoulders by using muscles. So these are the motor output. So how neurons functions? First, sensory perception of stimuli. Second, integration. Third, motor output by muscles and glands. So the first step is done by peripheral nervous system. As I said, there are two types of nervous system, central nervous system CNS and peripheral nervous system PNS. So first, sensory. So neurons conduct signals from receptors to the CNS. So from here it moves to CNS. So that is interneurons, association neurons are confined to the CNS. Last is motor. That is neurons conduct signals from the CNS to effectors such as the muscles and glands. Properties of neuron. First, irritability. To initiate the nerve impulse in response to stimuli. Next, conductivity. Ability to transport the or transmit the response. So how neurons communicate? Neurons communicate by means of electrical signal called action potential. This action potential are based on movement of the ions between outside and inside of the cell. When an action potential occurs, a molecular message is sent to the neighboring neurons. So this is a neuron anatomy. So this diagram is very important pertaining to your exam. So let us summarize some of the important topic. First is neuron, which is also called as a nerve cell. This is the structural and functional unit of nervous system, which is also called as neurons. Synapse, very important thing. So that is the information is transferred whole through the body, through the cell and glands, and then to whole part of our body by using neuron to neuron connection. That neuron to neuron connection is made by something called synapse, a junction. So the synapse is a junction between two neurons or with muscles, and this is called as a synapse. Next is nerve impulse, the light, the spark. Okay, the nerve impulses, the messages pass through the nerve cell in the form of chemical and electrical signal called nerve impulse. The dendrite receives the information and starts a chemical reaction which produces the electrical impulse which passes through the axon. Whole through our body, this electrical impulse is doing all the work. Let us go to nervous system in detail. All bodily activities, voluntary and involuntary, are controlled by nervous system. As I said, there are two major components. One is central nervous system, in short CNS, made up of brain and spinal cord. Next one is peripheral nervous system, PNS, made up of all the nerves that lead into and out of the CNS. So this is basically the central nervous system, brain and spinal cord. So the central nervous system is composed of two major interconnected organs, the brain and the spinal cord. These organs work together to integrate and coordinate sensory and motor information for the purpose of controlling various tissues, organs and organ systems of our body. The central nervous system, in short CNS, is responsible for higher neural functions such as memory, learning, emotion. Everything is controlled by central nervous system. Next, coming to peripheral nervous system. The peripheral nervous system, in short PNS, is a collection of peripheral nerves called as ganglia and specialized sensory structures that as a system carries sensory and motor information between central nervous system and all other organs and tissues of our body. The peripheral nervous system is functionally divided into two major divisions. First one, the sensory or efferent division, the motor or efferent division. In motor or efferent division, still two types are there, the somatic nervous system and the autonomic nervous system. So this peripheral nervous system consists of 12 pairs of cranial nerves and 31 pairs of spinal nerves. All the names, there is no need to memorize all the names of all the 12 pairs of cranial and 31 pairs of spinal nerves. No need to memorize that. But just one or two you can understand. One is olfactory. Olfactory is the sense of a smell, and optic the sense of a vision. And facial, the taste and facial expression. Only 2 or 3 you can memorize. Olfactory, sense of smell, optic, sense of vision, and facial, taste, facial expression, tear and salivary glands. The only one thing you have to memorize in this part is the peripheral nervous system consists of 12 pairs of cranial nerves and 31 pairs of spinal nerves. So this thing, these numbers you have to, the numericals which you have to memorize. Let us go through a reflex action. Very important topic. The reflex action is a sudden, unconscious and involuntary response of the effectors to the stimulus. For example, if we suddenly withdraw our hand of the hot object, this is a reflex action. In this reflex action, the nerves in the skin, which is called as a receptor, detects the heat and passes the message to the sensory nerves to the spinal cord. Then the information passes through the motor nerves to the muscle, that is the effectors of the hand, and we withdraw our hand. Here we have to think of one point. The sudden reflex action is controlled by spinal cord and not the brain, because thinking is a process which slowly commences. But here the reflex action has to happen very quickly. So the reflex action is mainly controlled by spinal cord and not a brain. Coming to reflex arc. This is the pathway of the reflex action, and this path is called as a reflex arc. In reflex arc, as I said, if we touch a hot object, we suddenly withdraw our hand. Why? First, the sense organs of our skin will send the signal to the spinal cord, where the bulk of all the sense organs and nerves are there. So here, it will send the information or signal to the muscle cell. So the circular movement, sensory organs to the spinal cord to the muscle tissue to withdraw our hand. So this arc or this circle of function is called as a reflex arc. In a reflex arc, the stimulus is received by the receptor sense organ and it passes through the sensory nerves to the spinal cord. From the spinal cord, the information passes through the motor nerves to the effectors, that is muscles or glands in response. So this circular movement is called as reflex arc. So this is the end of the first session, where I have explained the types of nervous system in human beings and animals as well as, and the reflex action and reflex arc. So if you have any doubts pertaining to this session, you can comment me in the comment section. Thank you for your patience.